The 2015 Forest Lake High School Veterans Day ceremony is proudly sponsored by Matson Funeral Home. Matson's was nationally recognized in 2009 as a top 5 funeral home in the country and has been in business for 95 years. Owned by licensed funeral directors, this Forest Lake Funeral Home is dedicated to providing excellent and compassionate care for those who serve. Matson Funeral Home thanks all veterans for their service and sacrifice.
Good morning. On behalf of Forest Lake High School staff and school district, I would like to welcome our students and guests to our annual Veterans Day celebration. I would especially like to welcome our honored veterans to Forest Lake High School and to this celebration. Today we take this time to pause in the middle of our school day to recognize and honor veterans. Many of us have family members who have served or who are currently serving in the armed forces, and they, along with all veterans, serve as role models for us as sacrifice and as people of dedication. This program affords us the opportunity to honor and celebrate the immeasurable service our veterans have provided this country. Today's event is led and facilitated by Forest Lake High School FFA. Your MC will be Jenny Thill. Please join me in giving her a warm reception.
Good morning and welcome to the 11th Annual Veterans Day celebration here at Forest Lake High School. This event began as a flag dedication, replacing the battered flag in front of the high school. Today we are gathered here to honor those who have selflessly served our country in any branch of the armed forces. Since the first Armistice Day celebration in 1919, Americans have reserved November 11th as a day to pay respect to the veterans who are still with us and to remember those who have fallen. Today we would like to give a special thank you to the VFW Post 4210 and to the American Legion Post 225 and to all the students and staff who have helped plan this event, and especially to our veterans who have served and sacrificed along with those who plan to serve. Will those who are enlisted and plan to enlist please stand? Let's give them a round of applause.
The color guard today is a joint effort of the Forest Lake VFW Post 4210 and the Forest Lake American Legion Post 225. Will the audience please stand and face the colors next to the stage as the color guard posts the colors? Will the color guard please post the colors? Please place your hand over your heart and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And please remain standing for the national anthem sung by the Forest Lake High School Concert Choir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The Voice of Democracy Speaking Contest is a national competition sponsored by the VFW, an organization composed of men and women who have served the United States in wars on foreign soil. This year, students responded to the theme, My Vision of America. One of Forest Lake High School's contestants, Amanda Stafford, will be presenting her speech entitled, Living to Serve.
I was given a once-in-a-lifetime trip last summer, a week-long experience in the heart of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Starting with the crazy airport and rushing metro really kicked off my adventure. Standing next to the 555-foot-tall Washington Monument made me feel extremely small and overpowered. Standing at one end of the National Mall, I took in that breathtaking view. Seeing the sunset across the reflecting pool onto the steps of the Lincoln Monument, and the night lights bouncing off the statues at the JFK Memorial in the raining downpour made this one trip one I would never forget. However, DC is more than a tourist spot. We as citizens look to DC for our guidance as a nation, and DC serves as a workplace and home to many. On this trip last summer, I was able to tour the Capitol, meet congressmen, and above all, begin my Living to Serve project. Through this project, I hope to start a ripple and serve my country. Needed for the success of my project was a vision for our nation. I envision the great America united, not by the land we stand on, but in service to our country. In service, there is no right or wrong way to serve, but a choice to do it or to sit on the sidelines. My ripple is to serve my community through volunteering at the food shelf and creating care packages for homeless youth. This experience made my hopes for America clear. It's not my vision to see servicemen and women in need. It's not to see people struggle in the land of the free and home of opportunity. Nor is it to see people fall because there is no support from the community. However, it is my vision to see action taken by each of us. I see an America where each person lives to serve, where each person has their place in making our country strong and united, where homelessness is just a state of being that is non-existent and a word used to describe a condition of the past. In Washington, D.C., there was one moment that stood out above the rest. It wasn't the most glamorous of events, but it was important in my future plans. On a walk to the National Zoo, my friends and I were astonished by one gentleman. He held a miniature flag in one hand, and the other held a sign saying, "Please help, homeless Vietnam vet." After stopping briefly to talk, my friends and I learned that he has been dependent on shelters and food shelves around the city for years. Yet, he was one that volunteered to serve because he believed it would make a better future for America. The veteran I met wasn't the only one that has served our country and doesn't have a place to come back to and call home. In January 2014, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development released data reflecting the amount of homeless veterans on the street each night. That number was 49,933. 49,933. In addition, 1.5 million veterans are on the edge of poverty. Those veterans found their way to serve America, yet they came home to America that had no place for them. Veterans aren't the only ones that face poverty and homelessness. 3.5 million citizens of the United States live on the street each night. In addition, the United States Census Bureau stated in 2014 that 46.7 million people live in poverty. Though this number may seem small, they represent 15% of our nation, meaning 3 out of 20 people live in poverty. Here alone in Forest Lake, 25 students are homeless or displaced on any given day. But this can be changed. If we don't change America today, we'll have to face that future. To paraphrase Gandhi, today is the day to be the change you wish to see in the world. Find your way to serve, because we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those 49,933 veterans found their way to serve America. Now it's our turn. Forest Lake, today is the day to show how all Rangers do care. We can start a ripple by pledging or walking through National Honor Society's Walk to End Hunger, by donating food and toys for FFA and Student Council's Adopt a Family program, or by finding motivation by attending open mind screening of the Starfish Throwers here tomorrow night. For a long while, I believed the changes that needed to be made in America were too big for someone like me. But after my experience in Washington, D.C., and being able to serve at our local food shelves, I learned my vision is to start a ripple that will continue into the future, making our nation united. Because one small stone that is tossed into a body of water causes a ripple with almost never-ending forward motion. And it only takes your one stone to start a ripple around you, Rangers.
We now invite you to join the Symphonic Winds Sinfonia Orchestra and the Cantorai in singing the Armed Forces Salute, which includes the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and the Coast Guard. Please stand if you or a family member has served in that branch of the military when the branch is shown on the screen.
help me welcome National Guard recruiter Staff Sergeant Nathan Pauley here to introduce our keynote speaker.
Command Sergeant Major Richard Osborne served our nation for over 27 years. He started his career in the Marine Corps as an infantry team leader. He served in the 1st Marine Division, 29 Palms, California, from 1988 to 1992. During that time, he participated in Operation Desert Storm and served with the Marines for over 4 years. He then joined the Minnesota Army National Guard. There, he served as a military police officer, a forward observer, artilleryman, and a horizontal engineer. He's been everything from a team leader, a platoon sergeant, a first sergeant, command sergeant major of the 850th Engineer Company, division sergeant major of his brigade command sergeant major for the regional support group, and command sergeant major Osborne was a part of Operation Desert Storm, Operation Just Cause, and Operation Enduring Freedom. He's done a lot of really cool stuff. Some of the awards he has received: the Navy Commendation Medal with a V device, Army Commendation Medal, 2 Army Achievement Medals, Air Force Achievement Medal, a Combat Action Ribbon, Marine Corps and Army Good Conduct Medals, 5 Army Reserve Component Achievement Medals, 2 National Defense Service Medals, Southwest Asian Service Medal with Bronze Star, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary and Service Medals, Saudi Arabian Liberation of Kuwait Medal, Kuwait Liberation Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, 4 overseas ribbons, and a whole bunch more. Command Sergeant Major Osborne is married with 4 children, lives here in Minnesota, is a member of the VFW. Command Sergeant Major Osborne has been all over the world in our service to our state and our country. We're lucky to have him here. Please help me welcome retired Division Sergeant Major Rick Osborne.
Thank you for having me here today. I want to just start out by saying that I really appreciate being asked to come to a very important day in our nation. And it is very important that we recognize the 26 million veterans that aren't necessarily wearing a uniform within the last decade. We have over 300,000 in the state of Minnesota. I'm honored to be speaking with you today on such an important occasion. We are here today to honor our service members and to remember their sacrifices they have made and the courage it took to defend our honor, duty, and country. As the writer Michael D. Montaigne once said, valor is stability, not of legs and arms, but of courage and of soul. We're here today to honor our heroes, to remember the achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifice. Thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today, and those who are only here in spirit. A person can't help but feel awed by the enormity of what we encounter. We stand in the midst of patriots and the family and friends of those who have nobly served. It's easy to recognize our veterans as active duty service members who are very visible due to ongoing operations overseas. However, the majority of veterans we honor today no longer actively serve wearing a military uniform. Many have gone on to be our teachers, police officers, our neighbors, doctors, and small business owners. Whether they wear the military uniform today or wore it years ago, we respect an unwavering dedication and exemplify the highest ideals of service to our nation. And I know you've been asked to do this a couple times today, but I would really like the veterans to please stand up right at this moment. Service members, thank you for answering the call of duty. You have made our armed forces the most respected in the world. Now, I'd also like to ask people in the audience that have a family member that served. Because we know that you've lived through difficult times, especially in the last 10 years. Some of you sitting here may have had your parent go away, your brother, your sister, your aunt, uncle, maybe even a grandparent that went away since 9/11 took place. So if you're a family member, please stand up at this time. The service members we honor today came from all walks of life, but they shared several fundamental qualities. They possessed courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to the duty and integrity, all the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes to fight on a distant battlefield. Many didn't even volunteer. They didn't go to war because they loved fighting. They were called to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extreme times. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect a nation which has given them, us, so much. Since the first shots at Lexington and Concord were fired and our Revolutionary War began, American men and women have been answering the nation's call to duty. Millions of Americans have fought and died on battlefields here and abroad to defend our freedoms and the way of life. Today, our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifice. And even as we lose troops, more Americans step forward and say, "I'm ready to serve." They follow in the footsteps of generations of fine Americans. Veterans Day, originally called Armistice Day, was originally designated as a day to celebrate the end of World War I. The First World War ended November 11th, 1918, and the legislation that created Veterans Day was, and I quote, dedicated to the cause of world peace, and to hereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. As time went on and we engaged in further conflicts, World War II, Korean, Veterans Group lobbied for a change. Rather than honoring the Armistice Day only those who served in World War I, the holiday would now honor all veterans from every war and conflict and every veteran that served in the country during peacetime also. We have honored our troops and their service and sacrifice ever since. We have awarded many soldiers, many medals, added their names to monuments, and named buildings after them to honor them for their bravery. But nothing can ever replace the hole left behind by a fallen soldier or service member. And no number of medals and ribbons can comfort the ones left behind. Today, people throughout our country will gather together to remember, to honor, and to pay gratitude to those who have served our country. Our gathering is just one small spark in the flame of pride that burns across our nation today. It's not a lot, but it's one small way we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live here in freedom. Our presence here today, and that of the people gathering all across America, is a tribute to those who lost troops and to their families, is a way to say we remember, from the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter at Valley Forge, to the doughboys crouched in the muddy trenches of France, to the platoon who patrolled the hazy jungle of Vietnam, and the young man or woman patrolling the mountains of Afghanistan today. We remember and honor them all. And before I close, I want to say in advance thank you to the young men and women that are sitting right here in this audience that plan on serving this great nation. I want to say thank you to that right now myself. Once again, it's been a privilege for you to invite me here today. I appreciate your patriotism, and I appreciate your dedication to your community and to this country and the organizations that we all serve. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Please pause now for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please now welcome to stage Bree Flash, representing the Forest Lake Student Council for a special presentation.
Hello, my name is Bree Flash, and I'm speaking on behalf of the High School Student Council and the Ranger Care programs. This year, in conjunction with the fall musical, The Wizard of Oz, many of the school groups are working to make sure everyone knows what it means to have a place called home. When deciding on a group for Student Council to focus on, we decided to support homeless veterans in Minnesota. The Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans is the organization Student Council and the Rangers Care programs have decided to support. Their mission is to provide assistance throughout Minnesota to positively motivate veterans and their families who are homeless or experiencing other life crises. The MACV accomplishes this by providing direct services or by collaborating with other agencies and providers. Some of the services that the MACV offers to help with are transitional and permanent housing for the supportive services, eviction prevention, mortgage foreclosures, utility payments, transportation bus passes and gas cards, food vouchers, clothing vouchers, employment assistance, tax and legal referrals, and case management. This past Sunday, Student Council has hosted a spaghetti dinner, and the local VFW raised $1,500 to support the Minnesota Assistant Councils for Veterans. Next week during lunches, students will be able to purchase a Ranger t-shirt for only $10. 50% of the proceeds, so $5 from every t-shirt, will be donated as well in hopes of making a donation of $2,500 to the MACV. Last year, they helped 1,800 veterans, and with our efforts that we can help even more. Thank you.
The combined symphonic winds, Sinfonia Orchestra, and the Cantorai will now sing the musical selection, America the Beautiful.
is important to honor those who have served our country and to appreciate the great sacrifices our veterans made for us. Thank you for coming to our annual Veterans Day celebration. This concludes our ceremony. All students, please report to 4th hour.
The 2015 Forest Lake High School Veterans Day ceremony was proudly sponsored by Matson Funeral Home. Located on Forest Lake and owned by licensed funeral directors, the funeral home specializes in unique and personal life creations. Matson's is dedicated to providing excellent and compassionate care for those who serve, and they are honored to care for veterans' families in their time of need. Matson's Funeral Home thanks all veterans for their service and sacrifice.